Imagine for a moment that it's 11:10 at night. You feel the weight of the day, the anxiety about the bills waiting on the table, and the uncertainty of a future that seems cloudy. What if I told you that in the next minute you have an appointment with the power that can change everything? What if, right at 11:11 at night, by speaking a specific phrase out loud, you could activate an invisible mechanism that makes your bank account start moving in your favor? It's not a fantasy, it's not a trap. It's what the legendary Florence Scovel Shinn called the key to invisible gold, a secret that, according to her diaries, she shared with only 3 of her closest students. The result, noted in her own handwriting, those 3 people doubled their income in less than a year, starting from desperate situations. Florence Scovel Shinn wasn't a financial guru or a renowned economist. She was an artist, an illustrator of children's books in early 20th century New York, whose life took a dramatic turn. Overnight, she became a widow, and heartbroken, had to face a mountain of inherited debts at the worst possible time, the Great Depression. The world was crumbling, banks were closing, and hope was a luxury. Instead of declaring bankruptcy and accepting defeat, Florence did something radical. She transformed her pain into power. She opened a modest salon on 47th Street and began teaching a revolutionary truth, that the spoken word, when used with intention and faith, is a talisman, a chisel capable of sculpting a new reality. What you're about to learn is the exact nighttime version of her most powerful ritual, the one she reserved for the sacred moment when the conscious mind sleeps and the vast power of the subconscious starts listening. If you've ever felt that you're on the edge of change, that within you there's a power waiting to be unleashed, write "My time is now" in the comments. It's not just a phrase, it's a declaration, the first step in telling the universe you're ready to receive. By writing it, you plant the first seed. The choice of 11:11 at night is neither a coincidence nor a passing New Age fad. Florence, with her sharp intuition, observed a clear pattern. People achieved exponentially better results when they performed their affirmations in what she called the folds of the day. These folds are magical moments where the conscious mind, the one that judges and doubts, changes state, becoming porous and receptive. 11:11 p.m. represents a double fold, a dimensional doorway of opportunity. On one hand, the repetition of 11:11 acts as a visual and numerological echo, a pattern that captures the mind's attention and alerts it that something significant is happening. On the other hand, and more importantly, this moment is usually the immediate prelude to sleep. Just before sleeping, the guardian of the mind, that internal critic that during the day whispers, "That's impossible, you don't deserve it, be realistic," is exhausted and sleepy. Its censorship weakens. The phrase you pronounce doesn't have to fight against resistance, doesn't have to tear down walls of skepticism. It enters clean, pure, and direct to the workshop of the subconscious, the place where your life's blueprints are designed. In Florence's records, Robert's case stands out with special force. It was 1927. Robert, a banker who had had everything and lost everything in a bad stock market play, came to Florence's salon feeling like a failure. Shame and desperation were his shadow. Florence listened patiently and, instead of giving him a complex financial plan, gave him a simple and puzzling instruction. She asked him that same night at exactly 11:11 p.m. to stand in front of his window and say with authority, "I am a divine and perfect channel through which infinite prosperity flows." Robert, a man of numbers and logic, was deeply incredulous. It seemed like child's play. Nonsense. However, Florence's serene gaze and his own desperation pushed him to do it, even if only out of mere commitment. A week after repeating the ritual every night, he received a letter from an old partner returning a loan that Robert had given up for lost years ago. A month later, a competitor he barely knew proposed a partnership in an emerging business nobody had foreseen. Florence wrote in her notebook, "It wasn't luck that rescued Robert. It was the vibration of the phrase, repeated with discipline at the neutral hour, that finally convinced his subconscious mind that his identity as a ruined man was a lie, and that his true nature was to be a millionaire." In a world obsessed with complex rituals, Florence's teaching is a breath of fresh and powerful air. She insisted you don't need colored candles, exotic incenses, or quartz crystals. In fact, she often said that all that paraphernalia could be a distraction, a detour from faith. When you rely on an external object, you risk depositing your power in the object, instead of finding it within yourself. The only instrument you need is your voice. The only energy required is your conviction. The preparation is, therefore, of radical simplicity. A few minutes before 11:11 p.m., perform 3 deliberate actions. First, turn off your mobile phone and any other screen. This symbolic act is a declaration you're disconnecting from the world's noise to connect with the universe's signal. Second, turn on a single small lamp, your bedside lamp. The idea is to create a focus of soft light in the penumbra, an intimate stage for you and your power. Third, sit on the edge of your bed and breathe deeply 3 times. Inhale possibility, exhale doubt. This external silence is a wake-up call for your inner world. It alerts every cell in your body that something important, something sacred, is about to happen. Now we come to the heart of the ritual, the master key that Florence Scovel Shinn designed with the precision of a spiritual surgeon. It's not a simple collection of pretty words. It's a power structure, a quantum engineering declaration. When you're ready in that silence you've created, relax completely and say, not as someone asking for a favor, but with the serene and solid certainty of someone reading the deed of something that already belongs to them. The gates of invisible gold open for me now. I own abundance and it seeks me. Let's analyze this verbal jewel, because understanding its architecture multiplies its power. Florence left nothing to chance. First, the gates of invisible gold open for me now. The gates aren't a wall to tear down. They're an access that opens. It implies ease, not struggle, and they open not in a distant future, but now. This word anchors all the universe's power in the only moment that truly exists, the present. The invisible gold is Florence's genius. You're not asking for bills or coins, which would limit the universe. You're claiming infinite potential. Invisible gold is the ideas you haven't had, the people you haven't met, the opportunities sleeping latent around you, the synchronicity waiting for a signal to activate. It's the raw material of wealth. Second, I own abundance. Observe the identity declaration. It doesn't say I want to be, I'm going to be, or I deserve to be. It says I am. This is the most important switch you can flip in your consciousness. You go from being a beggar of life to being a sovereign in your kingdom. Owner implies control, responsibility, and authority. Abundance isn't something that visits you, it's your natural state, your heritage. Third, and it seeks me. This is the polarity inversion that completely changes the game. Most people spend their lives chasing money, luck, success. This pursuit is born from a subconscious belief that those things are escaping from you. By declaring that abundance seeks you, you become a magnet. You stop being the hunter and become the beacon. Wealth, opportunities, solutions, now they are the ones navigating toward you. Florence insisted on the rule of once, repeated out loud, only once per night. Why? Because doing it 2 or 3 times is an act of doubt. It's like sending an email and a second later, sending it again, just in case. That second time cancels the faith of the first. Once, said with the totality of your being, with the vibration of your chest, with the conviction of a royal decree, is enough. It's a hammer blow that seals a pact. Once is enough. Once the phrase is pronounced, comes the most crucial and often most difficult step, the art of letting go. Florence used a perfect analogy, that of throwing a seed into fertile soil. A wise farmer plants the seed, and then trusts the process. He doesn't come back every hour to dig up the earth to see if it's growing, because he knows that anxiety and lack of faith would kill the sprout. In the same way, once you've launched your affirmation into the subconscious and the universe, your work is done for that night. Don't analyze it, don't question it, don't wonder if it will work. Immediately after saying it, turn around, turn off the light, and surrender to sleep with the confidence of a child who knows that the next day the sun will rise. If during the night or in the following days your anxious mind returns to the topic, if you start to doubt or worry, Florence taught a simple and powerful antidote: whisper softly to yourself, "It is already done." This small phrase is an anchor of faith. It's a reminder for your conscious mind that the order has already been given and is being processed by an intelligence much greater than yours. That was the exact response she gave to a student who wanted to repeat the affirmation several times just in case. Florence told her just in case is the language of fear. Faith speaks once and then rests, knowing it's already done. This knowledge is not a relic of the past, its power is timeless and continues transforming lives today. Take the case of Ana, a graphic designer from Buenos Aires, Argentina. On April 2, 2023, drowning in economic uncertainty and feeling her creativity stagnant, she found a translation of this ritual. Skeptical, but desperate, she decided to try it. She followed each step precisely for 14 consecutive nights. Nothing spectacular happened, but on the morning of the 15th day, while having her coffee, her phone rang. It was a message from a multinational client she had worked for 3 years earlier and hadn't heard from since. The client had lost her contact, but that morning, out of nowhere, remembered her name and looked her up on social media. He offered her an urgent and well-paid project. That single job allowed her to pay 6 months of rent in advance and had money left over to invest in new equipment. Aina tells it like this: "It's the strangest thing. I had spent months sitting in front of the computer, applying for jobs, obsessively thinking about money, and nothing. During those 2 weeks of ritual, I focused on the phrase and let go. I didn't touch the computer thinking about money. I simply trusted. It was as if the phrase not only changed me, but reminded others that I existed and that my talent had value." The secret for this ritual, not to be an anecdote but a permanent transformation, lies in a single word: consistency. The subconscious mind is like a garden. It's not enough to plant a seed, you have to water it with discipline until it takes strong roots. Florence asked for a minimum commitment of 21 days to start seeing the first tangible external change. This number is not arbitrary. It corresponds to the time that modern psychology estimates necessary to start forging a new neural habit. If for some reason you skip a night, Florence's instruction was clear: return to day 1, but do it without reproaches, without guilt. Self-flagellation is a vibration of lack that sabotages the process. Simply restart with kindness and renewed intention. Each nightly repetition is like engraving with a chisel on an onyx plate your new prosperity identity. To strengthen this commitment, Florence suggested a small physical act: write down the start date on a small piece of paper and place it under your pillow or cushion. You don't need to read it. Simply the act of placing it there and feeling its presence when you go to bed and wake up reinforces discipline in a non-verbal way, communicating to your subconscious that this is a sacred pact you're fulfilling. At this point, you're no longer simply listening, you're feeling the truth of these words. If you feel this resonates with you, that it goes beyond simple theory, and that you're ready to commit to your own transformation, stop for a moment and seal your intention. Write "it is done" in the comments section. By doing so, you're not just leaving a comment, you anchor your affirmation simultaneously in the physical plane, the act of typing, and in the digital plane, creating an expansive wave that tells the universe your decision is firm. It is done. Florence Scovel Shinn understood that prosperity energy must be cultivated throughout the day, not just in the quiet of night. Therefore, she developed a morning variation to complement and enhance the nighttime ritual. At 11:11 a.m., when the clock again marks the mirror number in broad daylight, you have an opportunity to reinforce the signal you sent at night. At this moment, you don't need the same preparation, just a conscious pause. Wherever you are, stop for a second and affirm out loud, or mentally, depending on circumstances: "Every thought of mine is an investment that yields gold dividends." The logic is brilliant. The night, with its access to the subconscious, takes care of deep integration of changing identity. The morning, on the other hand, with its active and dynamic energy, takes care of intention, of directing your conscious focus. The morning affirmation enhances your ability to recognize opportunities, the dividends, that the nighttime ritual has begun to attract toward you. Together, the nighttime practice and morning reinforcement form a 12-hour circle of power, a prosperity orbit that closes your day in gold, ensuring that both your passive and active being are aligned with the same goal. Generally, around the second or third week of constant practice, most people receive what Florence called the signs or the breadcrumbs. Don't expect $1 million to fall from the sky, in a parachute. The universe is more subtle and elegant. The signs can be modest. Someone pays you a bill you had forgotten, you find money in a pocket, you receive an unexpected bonus at work, they offer you a surprising discount on an important purchase. Here's where many make a mistake. Either they dismiss these signs as mere coincidences, or they get so excited that they stop there, thinking that's all there is. Florence warned energetically: don't stop with the breadcrumbs. These aren't the final destination, they're divine traffic signs indicating that the current of abundance has turned in your favor. The correct response to these signs is serene gratitude. Thank without drama, with a simple smile and an interior thank you, and return faithfully to your nighttime ritual. This act of gratitude and persistence shows the universe you're ready for more. Remember her teaching: the million comes in steps, not in parachutes. Each grateful breadcrumb is the next step that appears under your feet. Florence observed that there was one main error, a catastrophic failure that was capable of completely nullifying the magic of the most powerful ritual. This error is succumbing to the tyranny of Bod How. A person performs the ritual, pronounces the phrase with faith, and then the next day spends hours trying to trace plans, to manipulate circumstances, to force the paths. They wonder, but how will the money come? Will it be through my work? Should I buy lottery? Do I call so-and-so? Florence laughed at this and said, if you know the how, then you don't need the universe. You're limiting infinite power to the narrow corridors of your finite logic. Your part of the deal is incredibly simple. Repeat the phrase, feel the conviction, and let go with faith. That's your only responsibility. The part of the superior intelligence of the universe or God is to orchestrate the paths, the synchronicities and encounters, the hows. Every time your mind obsesses over the how, you abandon the state of faith and ignite the energy of fear and doubt. It's like hiring the world's best architect to build your house, and then spending the day telling him how to mix cement. Your job is to define the what abundance, not dictate the how. Trust that the universe's ways are more ingenious, direct and surprising than your logical mind could ever conceive. Marco's story, a taxi driver from the Canary Islands, perfectly illustrates the power of signs. Marco had gone 2 years without being able to take a vacation with his family. Work was hard, earnings just enough, and the feeling of stagnation profound. With more skepticism than faith, he started the ritual on May 1st. Each night, he repeated the phrase, feeling the tiredness in his bones. On the 23rd of that same month, he bought a local lottery ticket, something he rarely did. He won a small prize, a few €100. It wasn't a fortune, but it was exactly the money the ferry tickets to Tenerife cost for him, his wife, and his 2 children. He didn't become a millionaire overnight, but the emotional impact was immense. Marco describes it like this: that money didn't change my life, but it changed my mind. It was the first time in years I felt the universe wink at me, that luck was on my side. It was the first time I felt money was looking for me, and not me desperately looking for it. Those vacations were the best of our lives, not because of the place, but because of the feeling that something good had started to happen. Once the ritual begins to bear fruit, and the first extra income, the first opportunities, start arriving, it's crucial not to become complacent. Florence taught that the subconscious mind, although powerful, can get used to repetitions if they become empty or if the goal has already been surpassed. Therefore, she recommended updating and scaling the affirmation so it always represents an exciting next level. If your business has taken off, perhaps invisible gold no longer resonates as much. You could change it for a more specific goal that feels like the logical next step. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, the phrase could evolve to the gates to ideal clients and strategic alliances open for me now. I own expansion and it seeks me. If you're an artist, you could say the gates of genius, inspiration, and international recognition open for me now. I own my creative impact and it seeks me. The core of the phrase, the power structure, remains. What changes is the objective, which adapts to your new reality and growing ambition. The fundamental principle is always the same, the I am, followed by the identity that, although not yet visible to everyone, you already possess in the invisible plane. For decades, the world only knew Florence Scovel Shinn's published books, but in 2019, something extraordinary happened. In a dusty storage room of an old Manhattan building, during a cleaning, a box was discovered containing 6 personal notebooks of Florence that nobody knew existed. These diaries, full of annotations, reflections, and case studies, were a treasure. In one of them, dated 1935, a phrase was found that summarizes all her philosophy and the true secret behind the 1111 ritual. She wrote, "The repeated number is a lock. Faith is the key. Without the key, the lock is just decoration on the door." This powerful metaphor reveals the ultimate truth. The time 1111 is an ingenious psychological device, a reminder, a focus point, a lock that structures the ritual. But the mechanism that actually opens the door isn't the number, it's faith. It's your absolute certainty, it's the feeling you put behind the words. The time is just the frame. What really opens the vault of abundance is your unshakable conviction that you're already on the other side of the door, even before it opens. Let's recap the complete practice, so there's no doubt left. Each step is simple, but their combination is profoundly powerful. 1. Silence your phone and all distractions. Create a sacred space of silence around you, even if only for 5 minutes. 2. Turn on a single dim light, your bedside lamp. This centers your energy and creates an atmosphere of intimacy and focus. 3. Sit comfortably and breathe deeply, 3 times. With the third breath, allow a gentle smile to draw on your face. The smile is a physiological command that tells your brain you're safe and receptive. 4. Look at the clock calmly, without anxiety waiting for the exact moment 11:11 p.m. Feel the positive expectation of an important appointment. 5. The instant the clock marks 11:11, pronounce the phrase with a clear and serene voice, feeling each word. The gates of invisible gold open for me now. I own abundance, and it seeks me. 6. Immediately after, without analyzing anything, turn off the light and lie down to sleep. Surrender to the night with total confidence. 7. The next morning, and during the day, maintain an attitude of gratitude for any sign, however small. Gratitude is the magnet that attracts more things to be grateful for. Florence Scovel Shinn felt deep reverence for the number 3, considering it the number of manifestation of the Divine Trinity present in so many spiritual traditions. Therefore, she insisted on an initial cycle of 21 days, 3 complete weeks of 7 days. She believed this period was the minimum time for a truth to pass from the mental plane to the cellular plane to become embodied. Upon completing this first sacred cycle, something magical happens. The phrase stops being something you do each night and begins being something you are. It installs in your internal dialogue, operating in the background without conscious effort, and then you no longer need to look at the clock with such rigidity. Your own heartbeat, your own breathing, become a constant reminder to the universe that abundance is no longer something you seek, but the very essence of your being. To seal the ritual each night with even greater power, Florence recommended a brief but incredibly powerful visualization technique. Right after turning off the light, close your eyes and for just 30 seconds imagine you get up from bed and travel in time, 5 years into the future. It's not a vague dream, it's a visit. Look at yourself in that reality. Observe your environment, feel the peace you emanate. Take a look at your bank statement, not with greed, but with quiet satisfaction. Observe the photos of trips you've taken, the comfort of your home, the joy on your loved ones' faces. Now, approach that future version of yourself, look into their eyes, and simply say, "Thank you. Thank you for staying firm. Thank you for believing." Feel the gratitude and wisdom that future self returns to you, then gently return to your bed, in the present. This brief mental journey acts as the final signature of a contract with the universe. You show it the exact destination you're heading to, making manifestation not only possible, but inevitable. Once you start seeing results, you'll feel the natural impulse to share it. However, Florence offered a crucial warning: be selective. Most people, conditioned by a scarcity mentality and skepticism, will try to rationalize your results. They'll say it's coincidence, luck, or simply a good streak. They'll try to burst your faith bubble, not out of malice, but because your new reality challenges theirs. Florence recommended not debating, not trying to convince anyone. When they ask your secret, simply smile and answer calmly, "It's a personal practice I'm trying, and it's working for me." End of discussion. The energy you would spend defending the ritual, justifying it, and arguing against cynicism is the same precious energy you need to keep attracting more abundance. Treat your budding faith like a small flame. Don't expose it to the winds of others' doubt. Protect it, nurture it privately, and let your results grow so much they become a fire impossible to ignore. One of the most beautiful and often unexpected effects of this inner work is what Florence called the chain blessing. When you change your relationship with money and abundance, your vibration changes, and like a tuning fork, your new frequency starts to resonate and positively affect those around you, especially your family. Without them doing anything, without them even understanding what you're doing, the atmosphere at home transforms. Tense conversations about debts become less frequent. Children, who are emotional sponges, feel calmer because they perceive the decrease in parental anxiety. Your partner relaxes seeing you more confident and serene. Opportunities not only start appearing for you, but often for them too. It's a rising tide that lifts all boats in the harbor. Nobody in your inner circle needs to understand the quantum mechanics of the 1111 ritual, they'll simply enjoy the tangible results of your brave decision to change your inner world. Lucia's story, a freelance translator from Uruguay, is a testament to the power of attraction over pursuit. Lucia felt she had hit a ceiling in her income. She worked many hours for a rate that had barely increased in years. On November 30th, she decided to begin the ritual. On December 12th, barely 2 weeks later, she received an email through a professional platform she rarely checked. It was a European company that needed a translator for a large and urgent 3-month project. The rate they offered her, without her negotiating, was more than double what she usually charged. That single contract, arising out of nowhere, generated for her in 3 months almost the same as she had earned in the entire previous year. Her exact words: "I hadn't actively looked for new work in those 2 weeks. I was tired of looking. I simply did the ritual and focused on feeling prosperous." The client appeared, literally in my inbox. Skeptics will say it was an incredible coincidence. I and Florence will say it was an inevitable result. Let's reduce everything to its purest essence, to the non-negotiable pillars of this method. The key hour, 11:11 p.m., your daily portal to the subconscious, the moment when the guardian of doubt sleeps. Essential preparations: silence and breathing. Turn off the external world to turn on your inner power. The power phrase: "The gates of invisible gold open for me now. I own abundance, and it seeks me." It's not a request, it's a decree. The golden rule: once per night, with total conviction, and then let go. Anxious repetition is disguised doubt. Minimum duration: 21 consecutive days, the time to engrave a new prosperity identity into your being. That's all. Complexity is the enemy of faith. Simplicity is the direct path to power. You've made it to the end, and that's no coincidence. You've received the key. The question now is, will you use it? If you're going to start tonight, if you commit here and now to your prosperous future, write once more, "It is done," in the comments to seal this pact with yourself. And if this guide has inspired you, share this story with one person, just one, who you know needs a sign. By doing so, you not only give them a tool, but activate the law of circulation, attracting even more toward you. And if you want me to delve deeper and prepare a complete guide with Florence Scovel Shinn's most powerful phrases for love, health, and happiness, leave a red heart in your comment. Your prosperity is already on its way. It's a universal certainty. Now it's up to you, and only you, to open the door at 11:11 p.m.